Hello, Mr. Abhitej. We are live on YouTube. You can start within 5 minutes if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, if I'm audible, I just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, definitely. Whenever you guys are ready, we can start.
I'll just tell you when it will be. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, sir.
Hello guys. Hello. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, we're all good, sir. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for asking. Yeah, just let me know, guys, whenever we can start. I am good to go. And
So, sir,
one thing.
to do this, sir? Yeah, go on, sir.
No, I just wanted. Yeah. So how is this? I just want to understand the procedure. Is it streamed, like all the participants will join here, or everyone will be on YouTube? How does that work?
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, we're all of us. This is like we're from Republicans. All of us are gonna be here on the Zoom, and we're gonna stream this directly onto YouTube, where so many participants from the hack can actually view it. Since we cannot accommodate everybody in one meeting.
Yeah.
And that way we can accommodate a lot more than Zoom can.
Sure, sounds great. Just wanted to know how we would ask, like, just want to make the session very interactive rather than more of like a presentation. Just want to make like a talk or discussion, what people want to know about it, because it's a hackathon. So there's certain things that a lot of these people would already know and they would like to know more, and just want to make it conversation basis. So like whether you guys would be coordinating, or if you could send me like the link for the YouTube where you're hosting this, I can probably open it up on my system, and then I can see if the people have any comments or they want to know anything, and like how can lead that conversation.
Well, Abhitej, like we have two ways to go for this. Either we do it via YouTube Live, or we invite the participants directly over here in this meeting.
No, I guess YouTube is good. I'm just saying as coordination in the terms. If you can send me the
Sure,
YouTube link, I'll
sure,
open
I'm
it
gonna
up
do
so I
that.
can see the chat. Yeah.
Sure, I'm gonna do that. So here's the YouTube link. I put in the chat box.
But Abhitya, just a fair warning. There is a
Yeah.
20-second delay between Zoom and YouTube. So
Sure
you
thing. Yeah.
hear yourself after 20 seconds from the YouTube live. So it's suggested to just mute that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just muted it. I will try to just see the comments majorly. What if anyone is asking what they want to know and how we can take. So yeah, I guess we're good to go. Let's go ahead.
We're just let's just start at 11:40, where some participants still have joined. Is that all
Sure.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Just a few more minutes of the page. We have the participants still coming in.
Yeah. Please, guys, take your time. Just want it to be, I'm here to help you guys. So you don't need to worry about it. Just take your time and, whatever it takes. Just like give me a heads up whenever we are ready. I would be more than happy to start.
Sure.
Videj, a question from my side, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So when I was, going through your LinkedIn, I've seen you're a VIT alumnus.
Yeah. I am from VIT. I am 2019 graduate. So class of 2019. And I've been working with Persistence since then, like for the last couple of years before I was doing my own venture. So it's been an interesting journey for last 2 years, and VIT was super fun. I guess I have a lot to thank to VIT for where I am today.
That's great. As in, having your own venture is a dream of a lot of VITs. Right, like everybody has a lot of startup ideas, and everybody wants to scale that up even after college. How did you kind of
Yeah,
manage to do that?
I believe I was a curious one and crazy one too during college. So more like how people travel in their college days, which is also great. Actually, I feel I missed out on that. Like to travel a lot. I traveled more from the purpose of like going to conferences, going to competitions, hackathons around the world. So I traveled, but it was like more like purpose driven rather than with friends, hang out, just like chilling. So I was part of a lot of communities in my college days. So I was president for ACM. I was with the steering committee of Google Developers Group. I was team manager for Team Falcons, which is an aerodynamics team in VIT.
Right.
I was I co-founded ACM Women, as well as another initiative called Code Your Dreams, which was to help the underprivileged kids learn about computer technology. I also co-founded Code to Create with a bunch of my seniors, which is an ACM initiative, much more large now than just ACM, but yeah, Code to Create was one of the things that I learned from around traveling around the world, different hackathons. So yeah, so I did a bunch of like these things. That was like where I was learning a lot about how to manage teams. I was learning about, how to get your ideas from a paper to materialize them into something which is on ground, which is tangible. At the same time, I was also like my work was being seen by a lot of seniors, my friends. So was part of a bunch of startups as sometimes as an intern, sometimes as like in help. So that gave me say, hey, something that I really want to do is work at at this micro level, micro teams level, where it's like small teams, but they're trying to achieve something big, and that's why desire to be in startup. I wouldn't say it was to escape from 9 to 5, or it was to escape from what people say as um, traditional companies. For a long period of time, I thought I would be very successful if I go into a company. Um, but then it was like this desire to be where your decisions are directly making an impact on how a company is moving ahead or how it is pivoting. So that desire actually led me to go into startups. So I skipped my campus placements. I um, yeah, so I just like went into the wild, as they would say. Didn't have like a concrete thing what I wanted to do next. So I met one of my seniors who was into the crypto space. I was learning about crypto, and then he helped me up to. He set me up with multiple folks. He gave me exposure to the industry. He gave me some assets to just experiment around. Say you get a certain amount of Bitcoin, just like spend it somewhere, understand how it works. Same with Ethereum, and experimenting with different um, dApps, which is like decentralized applications, and then wallets, different sorts of things. And then we started this venture called Block 42. Which was to help other early stage blockchain startups with their development, because we have a huge development hub in our developers hub in India. Second was to help with the community development, because that was my background, and with the branding and growth. Those community building and branding have been like something that I've always loved to do. And then of course, like with more experience that I gathered over the years, marketing became the natural choice. So we wanted to help early stage blockchain startups with their marketing. And the last part of that was to help them with fundraising. So as they say, until your failures teach you more than your achievements or success. So yeah, successfully, I would say successfully failed at doing that venture. And that's where got in touch with the co-founders of Persistence, who were trying to build something where it would like a financial suite of financial products. I love the vision. I was connected with one of the co-founders with through other initiatives. I always loved having conversations with them. And when they asked like, would you like to join Persistence, I said, why not? And you just become a part of a team that is on a mission to create like something that's is still in progress, something like, I would say, somebody if has to make an analogy of what we are doing, or what excited me more was how internet was in 1995, 1996. to, and like you would see Google, it was out of
Exactly.
a car garage, or Apple was out of a car garage. And it's funny to say persistence actually spun up out of a 2-bedroom apartment, because we didn't have money to, or the resources initially to afford an office in Bangalore, or like a big office in Bangalore. So we started with this 2-bedroom apartment, and that is where we survived for 6 to 7 months. And we did, we sort of did our first fundraising there. We set up our first product out of there. We did all the branding activities out of there. And then COVID hit, so people moved back to their homes. But since then, we have been just doing this gradual growth, and we have been kept on building for a couple of years. And then we recently launched. Um, and currently, we are one of the biggest projects out of India, and or like only, I guess, second or third project that has reached $1 billion pre-market cap. So sort of evaluated as a unicorn currently today. But crypto is so new that people don't carry it is not as exciting for most of the masses that it would have been a unicorn in the Web 2.0 if it was an app or something. But it's more global, right? We're not centered to India, we're more global. So
Right.
yeah, that's been my journey. Yeah, so to go from college to start
That's,
like doing working with startups or in these small teams.
that was a very detailed answer. Thank you so
It's
much.
very detailed and really something we can learn from being college students and in VIT as well. So I guess we can start. Okay. So hello everyone. I hope every one of you have already got it cracking on your projects. Tonight we have Mr. Abhitesh Singh, who is the co-founder of Cosmos India. He works in strategy and community division at Persistence, and is also the lead marketing and communications at Block42 Network. We grateful to have you today to talk about blockchain and its disadvantages. Sir, we are greatly honored to have someone of your learning amongst us. We hope that at the end of this hour, we are able to take away a small portion from your vast knowledge and experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for that. It's a delightful and such an great warm welcome. And thanks to Robotics team, the entire team, to give this opportunity to come here and talk with students. I would like to start with a quick introduction, and before that, I would like to tell you all. I don't like to be called an expert or anything. I'm a student myself. I'm learning as you guys are learning. A lot of you might even know more than me. And I'm just here to share my experiences, what we have been building, what I have seen in the blockchain space, where this or how the industry is operating. And then also want to grab a chance to have like very open-ended conversations. So please don't be so these titles or these things shouldn't put you on a back foot to ask anything. Please feel free. There's no stupid question. There's no very simple question. Every question is fun question. So yeah, with that, I am Abhitesh Singh. As the team introduced, I am head of marketing and community at Persistence. I also co-founded Cosmos India, which is a sort of a non-profit initiative by the Persistence team. And our goal with setting up Cosmos India was to educate more and more people about blockchain space, blockchain industry, and also help them build applications and support if they have built an application on Cosmos ecosystem, which is very similar to how you have Ethereum, how you have Bitcoin. It's the same sort of layer one solution on top of which you can build applications. Yeah, so yeah, this is quick introduction. And if a lot of people don't know, I'm myself a VIT alumnus. So I am a 2019 graduate. That's like that puts me a couple of years ahead of you all guys in terms of like, class of 2019. I guess currently it's 2000 class of 2021, which is about to graduate. So so fairly still connected to the university, to the college, love the atmosphere. I was there last year for the Code to Create event and a couple of other events as well. I guess Hack Off 2.0 or 3.0. Yeah, so, please, we can just go ahead. What I'll encourage you is, rather than me presenting something, want to make it more of a talk, and then you ask your questions, I'll answer them, because that's what the purpose of this whole thing is, that you should get some help for your projects rather than me just going on a rant or ramble of like, hey, this is blockchain, this is what is happening, Bitcoin is soaring, or something. Yeah.
Sure, Abhitesh. I guess we can go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, first we have to understand what blockchain is, and please let me know in the comments. I have the YouTube open with me. So I will ask, if you have anything, just let me know. I'm seeing at the comments there. So what is blockchain? Like, a lot of people say that it is a decentralized database. Some might know it as a way of putting everything on chain and then recording. So it's like recording a community sort of consensus that comes along. Let's break it down even before that. Like, how did this evolution happen? If you want, I can just share my screen and give you that context. So we'll quickly move through some concepts and then we will jump into the discussion. So am I allowed to share my screen? Okay, yeah. We'll just go ahead. Just please let me know once you're able to see my screen so that I'm not.
Just a second, Abhitesh.
Yeah, your screen's visible.
Got it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, we're just kind of, so yeah, just stepping back before what we discuss what blockchain is. So I like to show this diagram because our CEO, CEO and my mentor Tushar talks a lot about this, and it has helped me learn about this very well as well. What blockchain technology is in terms of technology, when it comes to technology layer. So it's a foundational technology. What happens is that what are the core principles of any foundational technology? Example is like fire, example is electricity, example is internet itself. They all are foundational technologies. So the two core principles of any foundational technology is that the end consumer or the end user of that technology doesn't have to worry about what's going on in the background. Now, what that happens is, for example, you don't need to know what sort of chemical reactions it takes to light up a fire, or what's going into what sort of reactions are happening for you to utilize fire, right? You're cooking with fire, you're getting heat with fire, you are producing electricity with fire. So all of those purposes, but you don't need to know how what is going into the fire, right? And same way is the second principle is that you can build other applications or technologies on top of that technology, that foundational technology. So going with that analogy, you had fire, which is the first known technology for humankind. And on top of fire, you develop electricity. On top of electricity, you develop PCs. On top of that, internet. On internet, you had smartphones. And on these smartphones and internet layer, now you have other applications, the foundation applications that are taking place. Something like blockchain itself is one, AI, ML, big data, IoT. So all of these are foundational technologies. Now jumping into it, what over blockchain, now you're seeing financial applications, you are seeing data record applications, you are seeing sort of which is auditability applications, and decentralized oracle, like data gathering sources which are called oracles. So you don't have to rely on only one source of information now. So a lot of these technologies are being built on top of blockchain itself. Bitcoin is an example, Ethereum is an example, Cosmos, and on top of these you have multiple other things. So that is what, but still we are in very early days of blockchain. I would say we are where internet was in 1995, 1996, we are in that early stage. Yeah, so jumping on, why is blockchain so hyped? Quickly, we'll go through this. So we have seen this every 20 years, there's this revolution that happens. Earlier was computers that came in and everyone was very excited about what computers are. And after that, big computers, you could do computation very quickly. After that, we had 20 years of computational power being used for more of industrial or enterprise use. And then computer was brought onto your table in form of PCs, or which is we call as personal computers. Not everyone has had access to a computer. It got more hyped up. Everyone wanted a computer on their table. And same happened when internet was launched, which was close to 20 years after you had PCs, or 15 years after you had PCs. So what happened with that is that everyone started now getting crazy about internet. Like you could send something which people didn't imagine, that you could send something immediately, like in form of like I would have a picture. If I have to email somebody, if I send them, they'll get it. Like before that, nobody imagined that, right? So after that, 20 years after that, we are now in this phase where like internet has been developed, but now we're going into more decentralized way, that you don't need intermediaries to sort of have access, that you don't need Google in between to get access to cloud. You don't need banks in between to transfer money from one place to others. So that is where the hype factor comes in. What is the hype factor for blockchain? It's a promise of decentralization, this promise of removing the intermediaries. And that's the value flow without intermediaries. Like right now, a lot of people don't like that they're being monitored by Facebook. They don't like that their data is being used, either against them or just to in ways that they wouldn't want that to be, right? So that promise of like this decentralization of trust, enabling the flow, value flow without intermediary, is very powerful, and that's why blockchain is so hype. And moving on to as I I've quickly covered this concept actually. So how you have is this is basically, if you in a very layman terms, blockchain is nothing but it is record of each transaction, or record of data in a very auditable manner, which is like it is fault tolerant. Fault tolerant is that no one single entity, if that fails, the whole data or would be lost, or you could manipulate it. So how that happened is earlier you had centralized databases. Centralized databases is there's only one, and since you all guys are developers, so you would understand there's read and write function. So if there's one database, that means is if every time I'm doing a transaction or I want to add a value, I just write it on one place. So you submit it only to your one place. So that's like centralized database, right? And then you are reading also from the same place. What that happened was that if your centralized database is manipulated, or it is hacked, you get the whole access to the data is lost. Similarly, is the case for decentralized databases. What's happened is that each entity or each party, the stakeholder, would have its own database, and then they are asynchronously syncing up. So it's a sort of combination. But with this also, distributed ledgers also is that still all the records were managed by the same entity, and that's where blockchain came into place, where we had like blockchain. What blockchain adds on top of this decentralized database, it's incentivization and de-incentivization. That means is if somebody does any sort of malicious activity, they are de-incentivized. At the same time, if somebody is helping to manage this database in a secure and more affirmed way, or is something that is more verified manner, then they are incentivized to do that, right? That's where incentivization and de-incentivization happens through something that you all guys popularly know as cryptocurrencies. So you need a certain sort of economics to incentivize and de-incentivize that activity that is happening to verify with this database. That's where cryptocurrency acts. And a lot of people say like the blockchain without cryptocurrency. There's nothing, no blockchain without cryptocurrencies. Giving an analogy, I would say, is that if you have a car engine, not operate a car engine without fuel, or without, which we say whether it's petrol or diesel. So same way, you cannot operate blockchain without cryptocurrencies. So yeah, I mean, this is like, quick introduction about what blockchain is, and in very layman terms. Then I can jump into what cryptocurrencies are, but just can I'll let you guys ask about any doubts you have so far, any questions you might have, and then I can answer them so that we have this conversation. So I guess we have set the context. Now with that, we can jump into asking questions. So then we can move on to the next part.
There are some questions in the chat. If you can, in the Zoom chat.
Yeah, I saw that. So you have somebody has asked, there are so many networks and protocols in the world of blockchain. Can you tell which ones are beginner friendly and have scalable model? It's a very good question, and that's where we can jump into evolution of blockchain itself, what each blockchain is particularly offering. And then there's a follow-up question: is how should I start to learn about blockchain technology? We'll cover this up also in the same aspect. So to give you a quick overview of evolution of blockchain, what happened is there was a concept of, as I said, distributed ledger system or ledger technology, which is DLT. That means is you would have a lot of distributed databases. And these databases, basically, there's some sort of verification needed each time you enter information, and each time an information is extracted from it. So using that technology, there was this. This is basically an anonymous entity or an individual, Satoshi Nakamoto, who came up with a concept of that this can be leveraged to create a peer-to-peer transaction system, which is known today as Bitcoin. What would this allow as is you don't need banks to actually do transaction. If you have a token or currency which allows you to basically two different persons to exchange a certain sort of digital representation of a coin, or you give anything a monetary value. And a lot of people don't understand it, but we have seen that in Web 2.0 also, where you have this credits, right? Credits are nothing but a digital representation of some sort of economics. And similarly, you had Bitcoin. Now, if you exchange that Bitcoin between two entities, how do you verify that this certain thing has gone through or is legit? So that's where multiple nodes were brought in. These nodes are known as miners. Each time you transfer a money, that these miners basically verify, yes, that this is the person who has this much Bitcoin in their account, and they're sending to this person. Now, what happens is there's no chance of manipulation, because these nodes are unknown to each other. So you have multiple nodes, right? Currently, you have millions of nodes that are running. So you cannot take down the network. Unlike, so for example, in India, you have HDFC Bank, or you have
ICICI Bank. Now, all the transactions are basically monitored by themselves. So that's where you see there are a lot of books that are manipulated because it's a centralized authority that is managing it, all the transactions. That is how Bitcoin came in. Now what happened is Bitcoin was the first runner, and that is the reason why it has become this gold standard. Today Bitcoin is known as the digital gold, and it will stay as it is forever. It is the standard for industry. So this crypto industry will survive as long as Bitcoin survives, because it's more of a standard. So if that clears one thing out of is that how the foundation was laid. Then you have multiple other protocols like Ethereum. So Ethereum came up. What they did is they saw that this peer-to-peer system, or this community-driven system, was devised, which is decentralized. On top of it, something applications are so complicated to build because it's a single layer solution. There is no virtual machine that is interacting. Then Ethereum's founder, Vitalik, he came up with an idea of you could have a logic. Basically, you could put a logic on this decentralized system and applications can be built. These applications could be used in multiple ways, whether you have financial applications, whether you have games, whether you have NFTs, which are getting very popular, is collection, like collection chains. So different, any sort of value that could be driven. So it sort of, Ethereum turned out to be programmable money. What Ethereum allowed was to write logics, like how you write an application, an iOS application, an Android application. This is my logic. If somebody comes here, they do these activities, these will be the outputs. Similarly, way how Ethereum was devised. Now, there are certain limitations that came with Ethereum, is that it's not highly scalable. For the fact is because everyone is utilizing the same resources that are underlaying this Ethereum, the decentralized network that of Ethereum. If there earlier were 100 applications, if 100 applications are using, it's fine. Now you suddenly have 1,000 applications, or one of these applications sort of grew 100x in the same day. So the limit of using that sort of exceeded. And a very good example, I'm not sure how many of you face this issue. I'm just trying to relate it to VIT. In my days, we used to go and we had to log in for a course registration on like this portal, which is VIT's portal. So we had to do this FFCS. So what would happen is, like when you are in the very start of the process, the servers would crash because there are so many students that are trying to get, or your request wouldn't go through. And so that is one of the examples, right? What happens is the VIT's portal is designed to say manage a certain throughput or certain requests at a certain time. If those requests exceed tremendously, the system crashes or becomes very slow. Same as with Ethereum. What happened was, when too many requests or too many transactions that start happening on Ethereum, since it has only limited resources, the Ethereum network is being used by all these applications, it basically becomes very slow, or the cost of doing transactions goes significantly high. And that's what a lot of people talk about, gas fees. Gas fees is nothing but a charge to use the network. To solve this problem, a lot of other solutions were derived, and other networks came around, and that's where we're going to talk about. Cosmos. Cosmos learned a lot from Bitcoin. They learned a lot from Ethereum, and then they derived a method where you could basically create multiple chains. Like how Ethereum is just one chain on which you have hundreds of applications. You could have a blockchain for each of applications. That means is each chain is a sovereign chain. But now what happens is, if each chain is a sovereign chain, then how would they communicate with each other? And that's where Cosmos derived this model called IBC, inter-blockchain communication. What inter-blockchain communication is and what Cosmos in general is, very simple to understand. It's Internet of blockchains. That means is how today like it happened in internet also initially, is you had multiple applications. Like IBM had its own applications, Cisco had its own applications, but all of them were operating on something called intranet. That means is each of these systems or websites or whatever portals were, they were operating in silos. That means is they were not interacting with, so Cisco was not interacting with IBM was not interacting with Cisco's. It was still happening through off-chain mediums or off internet mediums. What then happened is, you on top of intranet, then internet was developed. What internet did was it allowed all these different now, communication between all different networks. Today you can log into Facebook using Google, or say, you can log into different applications. Like I can log into my Spotify using my Google. I can link my Spotify with my Snapchat. I can link my Spotify with my Tinder profile. I can link my Spotify with multiple other applications, social medias. How that happens is, well, because there is this interoperability. So what Cosmos did, it took the composability of Ethereum. That means is these different applications can run with this logic, but with this composability, they brought in the scalability factor. And that scalability factor is now, since each application is running on a dedicated, resources, they would not clog other applications. So it's like saying how you would run in Web 2.0 world. If you're running an application, so for example, Cred, which if you guys are familiar to Cred would be running their application on a different server than Flipkart, right? Or Facebook is running their application or their servers different from what Google is running, right? So they have different. So if Facebook gets clogged or it goes down, it doesn't mean that Google goes down at the same time, or it gets clogged, because they're running on different servers. Same way, you could take an example of how Cosmos is structured. So this is different blockchains, and they have all different offerings. Ethereum is very interconnected. You have a lot of developer resources, but it has scalability issue. At the same time, Cosmos, it's still in development phases. A lot of work has been done, but it gives all, though it's, even if it is in that early stages of adoption, best of best or biggest blockchains are being developed on Cosmos, for the fact that it allows this flexibility, sovereignty, interoperability, scalability, all these factors. Outside of this, now you have multiple blockchains or protocols, for that matter. Persistence, which I'm part of. My project is itself a protocol which will have multiple applications sitting on top of itself also. So what we have done is, we have learned from Cosmos, we adopted what Cosmos built, and on top of it, we built our own infrastructure. And you would keep seeing this. So a lot of these questions that you are asking, I have answered, but I'll just go now quickly through is, how do you start with blockchain? I just opened it because I had this idea that you guys would ask it. So let me share my screen quickly and show you guys. So I would suggest for you guys to go to some of the fundamental websites that would allow you to learn about it. First, go to bitcoin.org. There are endless resources in terms of whether you are an individual, you want to learn about what blockchain technology is. You would get the white paper here, how the economics is written, what is the mathematical equation that is written. If you're a business, you could leverage how you could integrate Bitcoin network into your system. If you're a developer, you can learn how you could develop or contribute to the Bitcoin network. You will learn about wallets. So this is a great way to start. Here are a lot of resources that you can find regarding Bitcoin. So if you want to start with Bitcoin itself, I would highly recommend you start with this bitcoin.org. Here you find a lot of things, directories like wallets, merchants, exchanges, statistics that are there, documentaries that have been built, guides that you would need for Bitcoin. So a lot of resources, best courses, Khan Academy, Let's Talk Bitcoin, right from podcasts to some of the courses to develop on Bitcoin, all of are here. And then similarly, you have ethereum.org. Ethereum.org allows you to learn about how to start developing on Ethereum. So it teaches about smart contract. Smart contract is something in application or web world. I would say it's your logic that you write. It's the set of code that you write for your applications to operate on top of Ethereum. That's called smart contract. So each application writes a different sort of smart contract. So you will have a lot of things. Pick a wallet. You can know how to get Ethereum, use different dApps. You can be part of different Ethereum communities that are around the world. So there is ETH India, there is ETH Global, multiple such things. And then coming on to Cosmos. So one of the things, and it is cosmos.network, and I'll share all these resources with the team, and let me do it right away. Once, I'm just, so if you go to Cosmos, you'll find all the things related to Cosmos here. It's a very comprehensive website in terms of for developers, how they can spin up applications on Cosmos, what is the token, learning about staking, and it's just like so much of different information is here. And if you are a developer and you want to learn, I would highly suggest you can learn it on Ethereum or on Cosmos. On Bitcoin, and building applications is a little difficult. So if you you're using Cosmos, I'm here to support you. My team is here to support you, and it is very easy to build an application on Cosmos. You could just use a starport. And why I'm saying is it is more easier to develop on Cosmos is the reason because it's built on Go and Rust. So if you're a Go developer, or that for that matter, even if you're a C developer, you can very quickly pick up on developing on Cosmos. You don't need to learn a very separate language from what you might be already learning, like Go or Rust. So you can develop easily on Cosmos. The documentation is very comprehensive. But just to learn, like develop something on Ethereum, you need to learn something called Solidity. So if you have a knowledge of Solidity beforehand, you could, maybe develop on Ethereum as well. But it takes some time. But on Cosmos, you could just go ahead, utilize the modules that are already built. So this is to answer a question that how do you develop or start developing it? Let me just share in the chat bitcoin.org. You have ethereum.org and Cosmos. Yes. So yeah, this is what is there. And then, is there any particular tech stack or knowledge of a particular domain one should already be having in order to begin with blockchain? As I said, you don't need that. You just need to know how to spin up. A lot of these websites that are shared give you a very good insight. And yes, in terms of particular language, that's things that, but I've suggested go with Cosmos because you can develop using Golang itself. If you don't know Solidity, if you know Solidity, which is the language of Ethereum, you can develop easily on Ethereum also. Is blockchain network trustable? Absolutely. It's based in the basic principle of Cosmos, of blockchain itself is trustlessness, that you don't need trust because it is the characteristic of the system or the technology itself. Like, for example, if I go to a bank, the first thing I need to know is, do I trust this bank? Do hundreds of people trust this bank? Because they're centralized, and trust is a big factor. They are going to control your money, and they may use it in any way. They can collect all the money and run away. Also, that has happened. Or they put their money in ways like they give out loans to bad people, and then bad people don't give back the loan. Here, bad people are people who fault, though, or they don't return back their debt. So in that case, who ends up paying the money? It's the normal users or normal customers of those banks. And it has happened in 2008 in US, and due to housing industry and the banks, that is what led to the motivation to build Bitcoin system. Very similar happening today. You don't need um, extra enforcement of trust on Bitcoin because it is already inherent value of the system. So when you're exchanging Bitcoin on the network, it is secured by millions of nodes and everything is transparent. So you could see. And I can just give you a quick example of. Let me share. And so this is an interesting question. I want to show you guys how each transaction happens on blockchain. Yeah, before that, I'll just answer a couple of questions, but I'll show you that how everything is transparent. I can see today any transaction that is taking place on Bitcoin, and every block that is put there, what all, from which address it went to which address. Of course, you cannot know the names because they are anonymous, but or they're hashed, but you can know like, okay, this transaction is happening. So it doesn't mean like, just give me an example. There are funds that collect money, and then nobody knows where those funds are being utilized to. And that is like, if they were collected on blockchain, on Bitcoin, then you could see like where all money has come from, where all the money is going. So just saying, we are running a crypto fund for the COVID relief in India at the moment. Now, what happens is, if I was running it in my personal bank, you guys all might give me money, and I can just show you that, okay, hey, I gave money to this, gave money to this, but I might not send it. So I'm using that money all for my personal purposes, or I'm using all that money like, that is being, because there's no record of it, public record. Here, what we have done with CryptoFund is we have collected money from different sources. People can send their transaction hash that, yes, we have donated to it. This is donation. Everyone in the world can see that who donated to this fund and how we are using this fund, where this fund is going. So if we wire to a NGO, you can see that. If we wire that to a bank, you could see that which bank it went to, right? So, or which address it went to. There is ton of volatility in when it comes to cryptocurrencies, yet it is being turned to everywhere. Why do you think so? So, as I said, cryptocurrencies are the fuel to blockchain technologies. It happens with every new technology that there is a bubble around it. There is a hype around it. For example, when internet came around, the startups started booming. Like, you had .com bubble. That means was people, like companies were raising millions of dollars. Everybody was excited. And then the bubble burst. And when the bubble burst, only few companies survived. Most of the companies shut down. So, they never saw the end of the tunnel. So, but what happened is that allowed great companies like Netflix, Amazon, Google, Facebook to spin up, right? They sort of saw, of course, Facebook coming after the .com bubble, but it was effect of that, right? The innovation that happened in that bubble where people were trying to create things. Similar sort of way, what is happening right now is a lot of people are using blockchain as a speculative measure. But with that, now the stability is coming along. And if you see Bitcoin itself, it has been in the range of 50 to 60,000 for a very long period of time now, at least a month or a couple of months. Reason is more institutions are getting it. And the price that keeps on going up, the reason for that is, for any cryptocurrencies for that matter, which has limited supply, the prices go up because it's a principle of scarcity. Anything that is scarce, anything that is limited, over time, when the demand rises, so it's a supply and demand thing. When you have very limited supply, but you have very high demand. This difference is basically that gives rise to people paying a premium price to get that asset. Same happened with, for example, gold. Since we know gold is an asset that is exhaustible, that means is there's only limited gold in the world. Now everyone wants to get gold more and more. So the price of gold has only gone up. And but now the gold's demand is going down because, for example, Gen Z or you know, like our generation, they don't want to have physical gold, or I don't see value in gold itself. A lot of people want gaming assets. People are buying expensive Fortnite assets, and those Fortnite assets are going like crazy up. Somebody might have bought it at $10 today. That Fortnite limited edition sword, gun, whatever is $2,000, right? So it's like how it is built that goes up. Same as with Bitcoin. So that's why that volatility, but we are seeing it stabilizing. We see it more and more being adopted, and then we would reach where, yeah, you wouldn't see these like crazy spikes. Moving on quickly, what are the possible changes you are expecting in crypto in future? As I said, there would be the stability. Second thing, it would be massively adopted. The cost of doing transactions on any crypto, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Ethereum, would go considerably low. That is, you wouldn't have to pay a lot of price to do these transactions. And the other thing is the ecological factors would get more neutralized. That is, right now, a lot of energy is being used by Ethereum or Bitcoin. But yes, of course, what we are seeing now is, and which I showed you, go to Cosmos also, is we are getting into this proof of stake models or even efficient ways of crypto blockchain where the energy consumption is very low. It's even lower than, in some of the ways, it's even lower than a transaction that is being done on Visa and MasterCard, right? So we're getting to that level where, you know, it would match, or a way where how you do today Visa or MasterCard transaction, it would be as simple as that. Some of the changes that I would see in future. How is smart contract development related to blockchain technology? Good question. So as I said, blockchain technology as its core is basically connecting different nodes. That is this community. So these nodes are nothing but, you know, computers, set of computers that are trying to maintain the network. They are maintainers. So in simple words, you could say is they are maintainers of the network. Each computer, each node is a maintainer of the network. So once you have this network, on this network, you could have like a specified function of this network, how you have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has a specified function is exchange of value, the transaction, right? So that is Bitcoin. But on top of it, you cannot do any other application. But if I have to build other sorts of applications, like what if I have to build an application which is lending, borrowing, that I give you some money and then you pay me interest back. So to make that logic, since here, since in this case, what you cannot do is it cannot be centrally controlled. That means is there's no Google, Facebook that will say, okay, hey, Google will manage all your data. Like I am sending a Gmail and Google has access to all that data and Google is sending it forward, or it is controlled in their centralized system. Here it is says that it has to be automated, that no single person, even the developer himself or herself, cannot change manipulate that data, the transaction going through, they cannot control it. So how do you do that? You write an automated logic. So these smart contracts are nothing but they are automated set of code. So they automate the procedure. Say you fix, I want to take 10% of interest on if I lend my money or my Bitcoin, my Ethereum, my Atom, my persistence token, XPRT, whatever. I want to take 10% of the interest. So what happens is when somebody is borrowing that, they put something in collateral. Collateral is nothing but you have to put something concrete, other cryptocurrency, as safeguarding to borrow that money, right? So this smart contract, this logic, stores that money with themselves, and then and nobody else has access to this money. And then your money is lended out, and you are being paid 10% of interest. In case that person doesn't give that money back, what happens? This money, which is logged in this smart contract, gets liquidated, or gets basically to compensate for the amount. So this is what smart contract is. Smart contract is a part of blockchain technology itself, but it's this automated set of logic. So how you write app logic for an Android application, how you write for a web app, you write a logic behind it in JavaScript or in Java itself, Python. Same way, smart contract is that code file and written in Solidity. And then we have how can you suggest some courses to get a hang of blockchain? As I already have shown you, I have shared also the links, and I hopefully team shares it forward. You can go to these websites. You would see tons of content. You would see tons of resources, links that you could access. Is blockchain totally different from traditional banking ledger? Absolutely. Where bank has no de-incentivization to do a malicious transaction, and they can reverse any transaction anytime they want. Here, it's completely decentralized. No one entity has the control of the system, and you could the banking systems can be what is something called mutable. The blockchain technology is completely immutable, and banking ledgers are not transparent, whereas every blockchain is transparent, and we'll jump into it. I'll show you. Is it possible to modify data once it is written in a block? No. You cannot manipulate or modify data until and unless there's only one possibility that you can do it, is when the entire network comes to a consensus that this transaction has to be reversed, which is practically not possible because all these nodes don't know each other and they all are decentralized. That means is they are around the globe, they're distributed around the globe, and you need, at least in like case of Bitcoin, which has the lowest consensus, you need 51 lowest percentage of nodes that needs to be done come to a consensus. That is 51%. 51% of this entire network has to come to a consensus for a transaction to go through, and same amount of people to reverse that transaction, which is not very practically possible. So that's why we say once a transaction on data is written on the node, it stays there forever. You cannot change it. And that's what immutability means. So yeah, we have covered all the questions and wanted to cover all of these points.
Abhijit, I had one doubt. I am quite new to cryptocurrency and blockchain, really new. So I just wanted to ask you this thing. What are your views on the current situation on Indian government and the cryptocurrency, like whatever is happening right now? So I just wanted to, get your views on this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I get a lot of this question a lot. So my response to that is that what government cannot control the blockchain itself. The government cannot ban blockchain itself or cryptocurrencies. What they can do is, at most, is they can restrict you from transferring money from your bank account to any cryptocurrency or a blockchain platform or an exchange. And same as offloading, that is, which we call off-ramping in crypto world, off-ramping your crypto assets into, say, INR or USD back into your bank account. So you cannot move your BTC. That is what government can do at most. Government cannot control the system because it's decentralized. That's the beauty of the system. Like you guys might have seen right now that government has control where they're censoring data, right? They're censoring tweets, they're censoring Facebook, and majorly in India, right now. So like currently I am, say, based out of Chicago, US. So if it's a different case here, but here also like government tried to censor a lot of information, and same as like in India right now it's like at the peak, right, where government is trying to censor everything. Why? Because they have control of the system, because it's centralized. You can pinpoint Facebook, you could pinpoint Twitter or Google to say, hey, have to take this data down, and they have to comply in because they are centralized agencies or they are mediators. In case of blockchain, that's not the case. Government cannot control a system because it's completely decentralized, and people using it are also throughout the world. So they're maintainers, users, applications, everything is global. So no one entity controls it. So yes, when you say that regulations, if say the ban happens, it will not. What it cannot stop is use of blockchain. What it can stop is if new money coming into blockchain from a certain region. So means is I cannot put my INR from my bank to an exchange. I'll have to go by other ways. I'll have to say, for example, if you own Bitcoin and I need Bitcoin, then I'll give you INR and then you will send me Bitcoin. Right? That was happening earlier also when the banking systems, the banking support in India was restricted. There were peer-to-peer networks. These peer-to-peer there was localbitcoins.com. There was, I guess, there's multiple such sort of websites where you could buy it from other peers, right? Like you are another person. So I'm not transferring my money to exchange, but I'm transferring my money to another Indian bank account, and I was getting one. So that's what government can do at most. But if you ask me personally, I feel regulations, and this is also at global level, this is discussed, more regulations that come around, more acceptance from the government, it happens. It is only going to help us build better ecosystem. With more regulations, the adoption of Bitcoin or use of Bitcoin or any such cryptocurrency will only go up. Everyone would be comfortable in using. You would see, you could directly pay to Amazon, like how you can directly today pay to Tesla. To buy a Tesla, you can directly pay in Bitcoin. Or then when that happens is your cost of those things go down because now you don't have an intermediary in between. I don't need to pay a certain amount to my bank, who is the intermediary in between, who is taking say 2% of that transaction, 3% of that transaction. Same as you have Razorpay, Visa, MasterCard, these different central these mediators, right, who take, say, if it is 100 rupee thing, they take 3%, 5%, like 5% at tops from that. That means is they're taking 5 rupees. So what the seller has to do is they have to put the cost of that object at one, or that item at 105 rupees. So now I'm saving 5 rupees directly because I don't have this intermediaries in between. So, with more regulations, it's only going to get better. So yes, government should accept it, more regulations that come in. And our finance minister in India, they have proposed that they would have it in a checked manner, and they would bring regulations about it. And that happens, it's very good for the entire ecosystem. Apart from cryptocurrency and data verification, what could be blockchains be used? Multiple other ways. You could have, community systems that can run on blockchains. That means is, if I am running a community, how would I incentivize people who are contributing to that community in a very decentralized manner? That means is there is an effective way of just give me a second. There is an effective way of incentivizing contribution in an unbiased manner. For example, if I'm running a community today, if I have to incentivize today, and you guys all are in VIT, so you would know this better than anyone. Say you have clubs and chapters. So if you're contributing to clubs and chapters, you are at the mercy of the president. I'm sorry, Robo, for the I hope so you don't, this doesn't get me in trouble after the session. So if you're doing contributing to a club and chapter, you are at the mercy of the board members to say, get what recognition you have or a board seat. But if that was on blockchain and your each and every contribution was transparent and there was a point system that says, yeah, and this person contributes this, they need get 1 point. You can develop multiple such systems on blockchain, which are transparent, which are auditable, which are also autonomous. That means is trustlessness can be devised, right? So that is. Other than that, there are multiple other exciting cases that are being developed on top of blockchain, which includes now people would be able to sort of bring information from different sources. That means is you could those are called oracles. In the traditional world also there are oracles, but here now you have decentralized oracles. What these decentralized oracles would do is, rather than me getting information only from one source, for example, I follow Times of India, and I'm just giving an example, and I just read Times of India's information. It may be corrupted because I might be receiving only one side of the story. But if there is this layer in between me and all different sources, so what that happens is this layer or this oracle is collecting information from Times of India, Hindustan Times, Washington Post, London Tribune, Sydney Tribune, and from around the world, and then figuring out what is the right information that has to be passed on to me. Then I'm getting more unbiased, more global opinion. That means more of open. So there are multiple such things. Another interesting case is decentralized cloud. You have decentralized VPNs that your information is not being stored in one of the servers in the world. Even if it is a VPN, that's not a VPN today because it's routing through, say, through servers of a certain company, and then they can actually, anytime they're asked for information, they can give that. Okay, this person accessed this things. So your data, or it could be leaked. So you are not truly in a private space, even if you're using a VPN. But there are decentralized VPNs that are being used in the same way. There's not one entity that controls that data. It's completely secure, and nodes from around the world are securing it. And decentralized cloud. You can have cloud that is completely decentralized. It's not like if one server, which we have seen last year, I guess, Google went down a couple of times. With the Google Cloud going down, so many businesses lost billions of dollars because, Google going down is, in today's context, internet world, if Google's goes down, is like world has crashed. It's come to an end. What do I do? Right? So why that happens is because there's single point of failure in Google itself. Like so many of our infrastructures are dependent on Google. Your GPS will stop. Your search engines will stop. So if you're accessing information, that will stop. You are running an application on Google Cloud, that will stop. So there's so many things that would stop. But if it is a decentralized cloud, there is no possibility that the system can go down until every node in the world shuts down, right? So these are multiple other use cases, and it only comes from my limited view, right? I can only see this much of the world, and there's so much more 360-degree view. So you go out, explore. There are multiple other use cases that are around the world. How is a crypto exchange different from simple transactions? Exchange is nothing but exchange is a way where you could get money or you sell money. It has nothing to do with transaction. Exchange is you mean crypto exchange. Exchange is, I'm just trying to understand, it's exchange from one person to other person, right? like how it is different from PayPal. Yes. So like PayPal, as I said, I've explained this concept. It's like PayPal is an intermediary. Why intermediary is PayPal is sitting in between. So there's person A, there's person B. When person A sends money, they're not sending to person B directly. They're sending to PayPal. Now PayPal is processing that transaction here, and it is to the discretion of PayPal whether this transaction they would let it go or not, right? What this happens is it takes time. One, second, it is you have single point of failure here is PayPal. Third is it can be manipulated. That means as you can send the money, this money might not reach here, but you don't know where the money is right now, and PayPal might say it's stuck and we have not received it. This person would say they have not received it, so where the money is, right? So you cannot see it anywhere transparent. So it's not a transparent system. In a crypto transactions, there is no middle person. There's only you and the other person, and that is this transaction is happening on a decentralized network. So like how PayPal is sitting on the internet here, there's internet, and top of that PayPal is sitting. Same way you have blockchain, and then you don't have any intermediary in between. You have two parties, A and B. When A sends the money to B, it directly goes to B after the verification from this network, and it's instant and it is global. That means is now you don't need an intermediary bank to verify if you have to send money to US, Australia. So in generally today's world, if you have to send money from India to US, it generally takes 3 to 4 days. But in Bitcoin, you could send it instantly in less than 5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever the speed of the network is. For example, you can send a persistence token from India to US in matter of seconds, like in 2 seconds or less than 10 seconds, you can do that transaction. So that's how it is different. The value of BTC varies. So does Tesla charge a fixed amount of BTC, or does it vary? What would happen is Tesla would keep, and just I am no person who is, I'm not a Tesla spokesperson, right? But how do I understand is that it would be always in comparison of USD. That means as if Tesla's car costs 60,000, however amount of respect to, say, for example, if Bitcoin is 60,000 itself, the exchange value would be defined in that way. That means as you will have to pay 1 BTC. If it was, if Bitcoin is 30,000, for example, then you'll have to pay 2 BTC for that car at that certain point of time. It's very similar to how you would have gold, right? Gold might be 50,000 a day, so you pay 50,000 INR. It may go to 30,000, then you pay 30,000. And say, for example, if you're exchanging gold for a certain other asset, like how countries do with each other, if they're exchanging in gold, so whatever is the gold price at that particular day, that amount of gold is exchanged between two parties. Yeah, so there's so many questions that I answered. Any other questions you might have, more than happy to answer. Before that, want to just break it a little and then say what I want to allow you to think about it is today, if you have to, why you should start learning about blockchain or cryptocurrencies in general is when you're trying to derive systems for in particular is like applications, there today is too much reliance on other third parties. For example, if I have to launch an application today on Google Play Store or Apple App Store, what is there? I have to take verification of Google before publishing that application. I have to take Apple's permission before publishing that application. That application can be very restricted as well to a region. That means as my application will not be visible to people in US. My application might not be visible to people living in Europe, in Africa. It could be just India. Same way is a lot of other things as you today, if you're building like systems value exchange systems, you have to have a bank in between, and that could be very tedious process, right? You have to open a bank account, you will have to set up an entity which can do those bank transactions, a lot of those things, right? If I'm building in just a simple project where I just need to have like the power of like, hey, this exchange has to happen, why should there be such a reliance on these these monopolies or these major players? That means is developing a system is not a merit of your system itself. It is a dependency on these organizations for building this system. Whereas in blockchain, you don't need anyone's permission to run an application. And it cannot be restricted, it cannot be censored around the world. That means as if you are running an application today on Cosmos, Persistence, Ethereum, it would be accessed by anyone around the world. You don't need anyone's permission to spin up an application in Cosmos or Ethereum. If you have built it, you deployed it, it's completely there. Other thing is, if you have to run, all you have to do is start a wallet, and that's your bank account. And you don't need any documents, any entities to open up that bank account. That gives true power to developers. And that's why this whole community, most of this community is developer oriented. It's very technical at the moment, is because it's all developers. This hackathon is a great chance for you to get just started with it. Explore it. It's very powerful. A lot of people ask me why Bitcoin is, I guess somebody has asked here also, why Bitcoin is getting so powerful, why blockchain is getting so popular. Reason why it's getting popular, reason why it's so powerful at the moment is that it gives sovereignty to each and every individual developer. It gives sovereignty to each and every entrepreneur. They can have that power. So yes, this is more of ideological thing in terms of this session, but you should truly explore this. And maybe you are the next CryptoKitties. You might be the next Compound, Aave, which are like, or you could be next Persistence, which is a $1 billion company out of this hackathon itself. No kidding, no joke. Most of 80% of the crypto projects that exist today, which are valued or have market cap of more than 1 billion, they all started with a small experiment in hackathon, in like a grant program or an incubation. So and that's the power. Like today, since it's global, you can build an application today and tomorrow it might be a $1 billion company. And you don't have to fight through the whole of system thing, these intermediaries to get it. You can raise in community. You don't need VCs and all to fundraise. You can go out, have token, which community will buy. If you have a community, you can buy it. And that's so popular thing, and if you're, say, for example, you can tokenize yourself. I can tokenize Abhijit Singh today. It's an interesting thing, right? Somebody asked, I can tokenize Abhijit Singh today saying my time, as say, for example, my time on weekdays and my time on weekends is different, right? So it's very unique. I can create an NFT, which is a non-fungible token. Don't want to get into depths of what a fungible token is, non-fungible token is, but you think it's a unique thing, right? I can create a token from my Monday day, my Tuesday day, Wednesday. So Mondays are very busy. Tuesdays are, still comparatively busy, but slightly less than Monday. Wednesdays could be different, and Thursdays and Fridays could be very different, and Saturday, Sunday can be different. Based on that, my hours could be different in the sense as my 6 to 8 in the morning can be very precious. So if somebody needs that time, will have to pay much higher, or that token is unique, right? So I can tokenize my time, I can tokenize myself. That is Abhijit in US, Abhijit in India. It's like different equations. You have to, for my time, for my resources, you'll have to pay like differently. It's an NFT. I can spin up an NFT. If you're an influencer, you could have NFTs like Eminem. I'm sure a lot of people know here who is Eminem. Eminem has launched an NFTs for his collection. Will Smith, if you guys know Will Smith, he is a Hollywood actor. He has launched an NFT. So a lot of use cases are there. You could basically tokenize your songs, which you have on Spotify, your podcast, your art collections, your um, anything sort of that info. So I'll take a minute now, and if you guys have any other questions, I would be happy to answer that. If you want to ask me anything about hackathons as well, what my experiences were from hackathons, I can talk about that. So please feel free. Now it's all your time. I'm not going to say anything. We've learned a lot about blockchain. We've learned a lot about cryptocurrencies. I've gave you link directions outside of this session. Please feel free to ping me up. I'll just share wait, I'll let me share my Twitter handle, so you could let me share my profile itself. So you could reach out to me on Twitter, and I can help you out with your doubts. We are also, so there is a prize category in this hackathon. Let me let me know what the purpose I am here for. So you guys, if you're building on Cosmos, you have a chance to win $300 in rewards. That is close to 21,000, I guess, or more than that. Outside of that, if you build a product which is you want to take forward, we have a grant program that is $10,000 worth of initial grant that you would get to build that product. And there are multiple other grants from Cosmos parent company, which is Cosmos.network, Interchain Foundation, Persistence Grant Program. There are multiple other grant programs that you can leverage. So truly, you can get something close to 70 lakh rupees just to start your project outside of VIT. So or your rooms today, out of your out of your bedrooms or your study rooms today, you can create a multi-crore project. So those are things. So if you're developing a product today, then this hackathon, you want, even if this hackathon you're not able to build a product, you want to take it forward, do take it forward. I've given my Twitter username here. Let me make sure it's correct. Yeah, it's correct. You guys can reach out to me that this is our product, we want to take it forward, we are building on Cosmos. I can help you guys with that. So yeah, that's it. Up to you guys. All questions you want to ask me, anything. It's like AMA session now. Talk is over, webinar is over, it's AMA. If you want to ask, if you don't have any questions, then I can take a leave. But yeah, it's up to you guys.
Well, there are a lot of questions coming up on YouTube. I can still see some questions are there, I guess. Yeah, people are really impressed. Like, thank you, sir, for inspiring us a lot.
And myself looking at the comments. Thank you so much, guys. Humbled by the fact a lot of things that you were asking questions I was trying to figure out, like Tesla's comparison to BTC. How would that happen? How the transactions are different from crypto transactions? Learning along with you guys. So yeah, just one question. The Play Store, the App Store will not allow malicious applications to be published on the platform. In case of blockchain, how do we know any application published is not malicious? How can we apply blockchain applications in hackathon as a beginner? One of the questions that is asked about like malicious activity, it's a beautiful question. The fact is that, for example, with the independence or sovereignty comes the fact that you have to be more vigilant. So in the sense is if you have an application today running on Ethereum, you have to first, of course, understand what is the economics behind it. It could be basically it's a scam also, right? So that can be also as Ponzi schemes in traditional world. There's so many Ponzi schemes. People fall for it, right? So application in terms of malicious, how do you define it's malicious? Is the fact is here the community can come together and vote that a certain application is malicious and or that application basically should be void or should be restricted, but it's completely to the users how they want to use it. There are thousands of applications, so it shouldn't be censored on the basis of like certain parameters that are defined, but it's like then community members can vote, or like how that application is to be used is on the discretion of each user. They have to be more vigilant, and to use that application you have to be you should read through that application, what it has done, what its economics is, what its utility is, should you participate in it or not. Those are the factors. Yes, as an individual you'll have to take full responsibility. So a very good questions. We have still in a phase where we are very early. It will take time for this to like come in due course. It would happen that you would have some sort of regulations or some sort of the filtering layer in between. But honestly, if I am a true believer in blockchain, I wouldn't want any sort of restriction or censorship. It should be a community driven initiative to sort of tag. Then you in future, what I feel is would happen is if you're running an application on Ethereum and it has been suspected or it has been noticed to do something something wrong, then they would be tagged, like through the community vote or through the Ethereum network's vote. They might be tagged that this particular application is malicious or is wrong, and then it would be on discretion of the user to identify whether they want to use that application or not, right? So yeah, that is the case. How can we apply blockchain application in hackathon as a beginner? You can build a lending borrowing platform. That is like how I put some currency and other currency can be borrowed. So for example, I have BTC and I'm giving this example. This can be used as if I have BTC and I want to borrow Ethereum, right? So what I'll do is I'll use my BTC and I'll put it as a collateral. Collateral is I'm submitting that to, so for example, if I have to take a loan today and I have gold, then I go to bank, I submit the gold into a bank, and then I take INR, right? That's lending borrowing, how it works. On blockchain, you can actually create a platform where somebody is, for example, I need to borrow Ethereum because I want to do some, I want to try out some applications on Ethereum, or I want to say, earn a certain amount of money on Ethereum, whatever it is, like application use, I have to pay in gas fees. So I need Ethereum, but I have BTC. How would I borrow Ethereum? So what I do is I'll take my BTC, I'll put it as a collateral, and I'll borrow Ethereum from the application. Now, where this Ethereum is coming from, this Ethereum is basically a lot of people have Ethereum and they want to earn interest on top of it. That is mean I want to have passive income. So I'll go and I'll submit my Ethereum in this code and the system, and then other people will borrow this. For borrowing this, you will have to, so for example, I took one Ethereum as the borrowing money, and I have to pay 10% in interest, for example, for a year, or on an annual basis. Sometimes it's 20, it's 30, whatever you define. Then I'll have to pay 1.1 Ethereum back. That means is whether I have to acquire that Ethereum outside of the market, whatever, but I can give 1.1 Ethereum back. But my BTC is mine still until unless I return that back. So if you return your back, then you can take your BTC out back, right? So it's a one of the ways lending borrowing platform works. You could create NFT products. That is, you could have, you can make a marketplace, like how you generally in a lot of hackathons people build is like people can go out and e-shop, like e-commerce websites, or people can list their services like freelance websites, whatever, right? Same way you could make NFT marketplaces. That is, you could have art, and examples are OpenSea, Rarible, CryptoPunks. All of these are examples. So you could create actually NFT marketplaces. That is, you can create NFT implementations that would allow anyone. So all of you students who are here, they can create art pieces. That art pieces can be that come to your platform. They can list on that, and for that, they basically, now that becomes an NFT, it becomes a token. It's a representation of that art on chain. And now this token or this chain, this art can be exchanged, traded between people. So that is one of the ways. Go out and learn about, you can on internet, you can find a lot of endless resources on NFTs, what NFTs is. In Ethereum, you can build NFTs. In Cosmos, you can build NFTs. Other use cases where you can build verification systems as certificate verifications. How today, if I have to send a verification, like a certificate to, say, from VIT University to Harvard University in USA, that has to go through VIT. And if I have to send it to Stanford University, I have to again get a certificate issued from VIT, and VIT sends it to Stanford or MIT or University of British Columbia, any other universities, right? But you could create a system where this certificate is on chain, and now you don't have to get it issued. Like basically, I'll have to request VIT will take its own due course to send that course, or I'll have to go. I'm sure things have changed, but earlier you had to go to Center of Examination, which is COE, on SGT 8th floor, and you have to request, you have to beg them, please, sir, I have not got my certificate for last 15 days. It is very urgent. My application is getting overdue. So what you can do is create a system where your certificate is basically stored on chain. Now all VIT will have to do is sign it. Basically, as they'll have to put a public key, the private key, and every time that private key is done, that certificate would be verified. It's on chain. So what happens is, any university, you could just send a transaction hash. Basically, you can send a link, and they can see the verified certificate right from that link. There's so much information around this also. These are a few use cases that are for beginners, but I would say, you can work around a lot on NFTs. They're exciting right now. You can work a lot around on lending borrowing platforms because they're easy to build. You could create analytics websites. You see and because a lot of you guys would be from data mining background, you would be working on ML algorithms, or you would be good with big data. Leverage that. There's amount of big data amount of data that is there in blockchain right now, because everything is stored on chain. Use CoinGecko is a platform which is, again, analytics website, consolidation website. Use their APIs. You could use blockchain.com's APIs, multiple of these APIs. You could create visualization softwares. So how I can see analytics of, say, how many transactions are done, or what is the amount of money that is being sent each hour. So different ways. So you could, if you're interested in that, maybe develop an application of that, and just go to Ethereum, go to Cosmos, or cosmos.com/ecosystem. I'm just giving example. You'll get so many examples that you can build. Yeah. So yeah, this, I have sent the link in the chat. Great. If nothing else, I just conclude on a concluding note. I would say is, you all guys are in a stage where there's there's endless possibilities to learn. Just be curious, and don't undermine yourself. A lot of people believe this is their first hackathon, they cannot do a lot. A lot of people think that, okay, it's just about, coming to hackathon, they will build a product that is useless, right? Don't believe that. You can truly create $1 billion company out of a hackathon. That's what I believe. That's what I have seen in past. That's what we are doing. And, persistence. We keep on experimenting. We have these weekend hackathons in between the team. We build products that have the potential to disrupt $100 billion of companies, or sorry, market. And that's how a lot of these products are. CryptoPunk was an experiment. CryptoKitties was an experiment. All of these were experiments, and now today, and other thing you guys might know, there's something called Dogecoin. Dogecoin was literally launched to mock cryptocurrencies. Today, Dogecoin itself is one of the biggest cryptocurrencies. So that guy never thought that he would become a billionaire in matter of hours, or in matter of overnight, because he was just experimenting, right? So experiment is very, it's a beautiful thing. I have learned most of my things through hackathons, through college communities, working with different folks, learning from other folks. Why I'm so passionate about coming to hackathons is because you guys asked so many questions. Second is I get to learn a lot from each product. I'm sure you guys will all make beautiful products. And I spend my weekends just going through those products, learning what each guy of you, what you have built. Sometimes they're so powerful, and so insightful, innovative. It's just what takes from that innovation, that excitement, is persistence, right? And also the name of my company is on the same fact. What we also believed in, that's why we named our company Persistence, is the fact is that it is easy to think of an idea, but to take that idea to an execution takes a lot of time. And that's where persistence comes in play. Yeah. So, that is what I would, these my 2 cents to you guys as my juniors, you guys as fellow, hackathon enthusiasts or developers. Yeah, that's all from my side. If you guys have anything else, we'll take 5 more minutes, but if not, then I'll take a leave today. And it was amazing talking to you guys. Love this session. Thank you, RoboVertex team, for inviting me and giving me this privilege to talk to students.
Spending this hour with you, sir, indeed was very insightful, and I'm sure all of our attendees must have learned a lot from the session, whether it be about what blockchain is, or how can we actually get started with it, or how to specialize in this domain. We are really grateful to you for answering all the queries in such a great detail, and also the explanations, which were relatable and so very easy to understand. I'm sure you have inspired a lot of our participants to create something amazing in the blockchain domain with all your knowledge and experience. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the entire RoboVertex family and all our participants. Thank you, sir, for inspiring us all.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. Take care, and hope to get connected with you. Feel free to there's a link in the YouTube chat, I guess. You feel free to reach out to me on Twitter anytime. Yes, there might be a slight lag in my response sometimes if I'm busy, but generally if I'm online, I always try to respond to the messages. If somebody feels comfortable, they can reach out to me on Instagram also, but just saying Instagram is something that messages not very particular, sometimes don't see messages, but you could reach out to me on Instagram also, because somebody, I guess, last time requested that Instagram is more easy for them to connect. So I'm just sharing, and please don't judge me by my name because it's more of yeah, just shared. Oh, sorry, it's not the right link. Oh yeah, is it? No, it's not the right link.
It's wrong.
Let me share it. Wait. I've just shared it again. Yeah. Hopefully, yes. Yeah. Yes, this works. Yeah, I've shared my Instagram link also. You guys can follow me on Instagram or reach out on Instagram, whatever works best for you guys. Yeah. Okay, guys. Bye-bye. Take care. And it was fun talking to you all. Wishing you all the best for your hackathon.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you so much.
see you on the other side.
See you.